The flight gets cancelled at 11:14 p.m. You stare at the screen above the gate while your phone vibrates twice in your pocket. One vibration pattern means home, the other means your other home. You already know which messages are waiting before you read them. Your wife sends a picture of your son asleep on the couch holding a homemade sign that says, "Welcome home, Dad." 3 seconds later, another message appears from another woman in another city. Lily won't sleep until you call. You close your eyes for a moment. Not because you feel guilty, because the timelines are breaking. You were supposed to land by midnight, sleep 4 hours at one house, leave before sunrise, and drive 2 hours south in time for a dance recital with the other family. Now, none of it works. People think lives like this collapse because of emotion. They don't. They collapse because of logistics. You stand in the middle of the terminal recalculating your entire existence in real time. If you rent a car now, you can still make it to one family before morning. But not both. And whichever family you choose remembers the absence forever. That's the moment you realize this isn't temporary anymore. This isn't a mistake you're slowly backing out of. This is infrastructure. Schedules, routes, financial systems, versions of yourself. And every part depends on perfect timing. It starts small. It always does. One extended consulting contract 3 years earlier. One lonely hotel bar conversation. One woman who makes another city feel less empty. At first, it feels controlled. You tell yourself it's separate from your real life. Psychologists call it compartmentalization. The brain isolates conflicting identities to reduce cognitive dissonance under sustained stress. You don't think about it clinically. You just notice how easy it becomes. At home, you're dependable, structured, predictable. On the road, you become someone lighter, more spontaneous, less exhausted. Then she tells you she's pregnant. You remember the exact sensation. Not panic. Calculation. How often you travel. How much money you make. Whether the timelines can still function. Because once a child exists, leaving stops being simple. But staying becomes dangerous. And somehow, you choose both. The systems develop gradually. That's why they survive. You open a second checking account first. Not suspicious. Operational. Rent needs to come from somewhere. Groceries, school supplies, medical bills. You start pulling out cash during work trips so fewer transactions overlap between households. Then come the calendars. Blue entries for one family, green for the other. No names. Names are risky. You memorize routines instead. One daughter likes pancakes before school. The other son refuses to sleep unless you read to him over FaceTime. One wife thinks your company expanded into regional contracts. The other believes you oversee interstate accounts. Neither explanation is fully false. That's important. Behavioral studies show partial truths create less psychological strain than entirely fabricated lies, because the brain can anchor itself to reality. You rely on that constantly. You aren't inventing lives, you're editing them. The hardest part isn't the deception, it's the transitions. You learn quickly that personality itself becomes logistical. Different speech patterns, different energy levels, different emotional histories. In one house, you're quiet and emotionally available. In the other, you're playful, relaxed, less serious. You start changing clothes between cities because certain jackets belong to certain versions of you. Duplicate chargers, duplicate toiletries, duplicate wedding rings after nearly losing one during a rushed transition 18 months earlier. That mistake almost destroys everything. You remember digging through your car at 1:32 a.m. while both phones vibrate simultaneously. One wife asking if you made it safely, the other asking why you sound distracted. You find the ring eventually wedged beneath the passenger seat. Your hands shake for 20 minutes afterward, not from guilt, from system instability. Children become the real danger. Adults believe explanations. Children notice patterns. Why do you always leave on Thursdays? How come you missed my game but not hers? Who's Lily? Simple questions, casual questions. Questions that feel harmless until your brain pauses half a second too long. You develop rules. Always answer immediately. Never over-explain. Redirect naturally. You become frighteningly good at conversational steering, guiding attention away from dangerous topics before scrutiny develops. Sometimes your daughter watches you after asking something difficult. Not suspicious, just observant. But observation becomes awareness eventually, and awareness destroys systems like yours. The first real overlap happens during dinner. You're sitting at the table with one family when the other phone vibrates inside your jacket. Not a text, a video call. Your son notices first. You gonna answer that? Your wife barely looks up from serving pasta. Your pulse spikes immediately, not emotionally, operationally. You calculate angles, pocket location, caller volume, response timing. You stand calmly. Work, single word, simple. You leave the room before anyone responds. In the hallway, you answer immediately. Your other daughter split her chin open during dance practice. You close your eyes for exactly 1 second. Because now two realities require physical presence at the same time. And whichever family you choose loses something. Pressure changes you psychologically over time. At first, the lies trigger measurable stress. Elevated heart rate, cortisol spikes, heightened emotional response. But repeated deception changes neural behavior. Studies show the amygdala becomes less reactive. The more dishonesty is repeated successfully. You notice it happening. The first lies made you nauseous. Now your mind moves faster instead. Excuse construction, travel recovery, timeline management. You stop thinking emotionally. You start thinking strategically. And that scares you more than exposure does. Because somewhere along the way, this stopped feeling temporary. It became identity. By year 4, the finances start collapsing inward. 2 children means 2 schools, 2 birthdays, 2 Christmases, 2 emergency funds. You sit inside your parked car outside a bank staring at account balances while both families text simultaneously. One asking if you can cover braces, the other asking about vacation plans. Your savings account drops below $3,200 for the first time in years. That's when panic finally returns. Not emotional panic, structural panic. Because emotional collapse is survivable. Financial collapse exposes everything. You start accepting longer consulting contracts just to sustain the overlap. Ironically, the thing destroying your life becomes the excuse keeping it alive. Work's been crazy lately. Everyone believes you because the exhaustion is real. The routines become sacred after that. Monday through Wednesday belong to one city. Thursday through Saturday belong to another. Sundays rotate depending on birthdays, school events, and emergencies. You maintain spreadsheets now. Actual spreadsheets. Fuel costs, gift histories, travel excuses already used. Emotional states. Who feels neglected? Who's becoming observant? At night, you rehearse timelines before sleeping. Not because you want to, because forgetting details carries consequences now. One inconsistency can destroy years. And the terrifying part is how close you come constantly. Once you call your daughter by the wrong name. Just once. The silence afterward lasts maybe 2 seconds. But it feels longer. You recover quickly. Too quickly. Sorry, long day. Your wife watches you differently for the rest of the night. Not suspicious, not yet, but aware. Awareness is how collapse begins. Your birthday nearly destroys everything. Both families organize separate dinners. Neither knows the other exists. One reservation is at 6 p.m., the other at 8:30. Different cities, 90 miles apart. You convince yourself it's manageable. Traffic disagrees. At 7:41 p.m., your second wife texts a picture from the restaurant. Your daughter sits at the table wearing a birthday hat waiting for you. You're still 40 minutes away. Meanwhile, your first family sings happy birthday while your phone vibrates non-stop beneath the table. Your pulse becomes visible in your wrist. Then your son says something casually that almost stops your breathing. You always leave after birthdays. The room goes quiet for half a second. Not suspicious. Observational. Children track repetition before adults do. You laugh it off too quickly. And your wife watches you again with that same expression. Awareness. After that, paranoia enters everything. You check reflections before taking pictures. You disable location sharing permanently. You memorize lies so thoroughly they stop feeling separate from memory itself. Psychologists call it source monitoring confusion. The brain starts blending fabricated experiences with real ones through repetition. You experience it constantly. Sometimes you genuinely forget which family heard certain stories. Which child had piano lessons? Which wife hates thunderstorms? You start pausing before conversations now. Tiny pauses. But hesitation is dangerous because people notice hesitation instinctively. The first direct confrontation comes unexpectedly. It's 12:18 a.m. You're asleep beside one family when the wrong phone lights up on the nightstand. You wake instantly. Too late. Your wife is already holding it. Every possible outcome hits your brain simultaneously. Deny, confess, redirect, run scenarios. Her face isn't angry yet. That's worse. Anger means certainty. Confusion means investigation. Who's Emily? Simple question, no accusation. Just curiosity. You answer too fast. Co-worker. Her eyes narrow slightly. Why is she sending heart emojis at midnight? Your vision sharpens immediately. Your body reacts like exposure equals physical danger. You reach for the phone carefully. Not too fast. Fast means panic. Slow means confidence. Years of deception compress into instinct. She's drunk. Half the office went out tonight. You force a controlled laugh. Measured, calculated. Your wife keeps staring. And you realize something horrifying. You no longer know whether you're lying or surviving. Because your nervous system reacts to exposure like it's life-threatening. The next morning, she acts normal. Almost too normal. That's when the fear becomes permanent. Confrontation is manageable, investigation is not. You start auditing your own life constantly afterward, deleting messages, changing passwords, separating devices further. You even lease another vehicle temporarily, so mileage patterns make more sense. The logistics become absurd, but absurd systems survive through consistency, and consistency is all you have left. By year 6, maintaining 2 families becomes easier than maintaining yourself. That's the real damage. You forget who you are when nobody's watching. You sit alone inside hotel rooms, staring at 2 active family group chats. 2 sets of school photos. 2 children asking when you're coming home. And both are telling the truth. Home exists twice now. That realization changes something fundamental inside you. The lies stop feeling like choices. They start feeling structural, necessary, permanent. The final shift happens quietly. No explosion, no dramatic exposure, just erosion. One night, your younger daughter asks your favorite movie. You answer automatically. Then she frowns. That's not what you said before. Your brain freezes completely. Not because of the question, because you genuinely cannot remember which version of yourself gave the original answer. You stare too long. Long enough for her expression to change slightly. Tiny shift. But enough. Awareness again. Now every interaction feels dangerous. Every conversation contains hidden traps. You rehearse timelines while driving. You panic over harmless questions. And slowly, you realize something terrifying. You are no longer maintaining relationships. You are managing collapse. Every day becomes delay management. Every interaction becomes damage control. You built 2 families. But eventually, systems like this stop functioning through love. They survive through momentum. And momentum always fails eventually. Usually slowly, usually quietly. Usually one forgotten detail at a time. It's 11:48 p.m. when your phone lights up again. Hotel room. Dim television glow. 2 family photos sitting beside each other accidentally because you unpacked too quickly earlier. One wife asks if you landed safely. The other asks if you can call because your son misses you. Two homes. Two complete emotional realities depending on you continuing this forever. You stare at the screen for a long moment before responding. And for the first time in years, you hesitate. Because now you finally understand something the system never allowed you to admit before. There is no clean ending to a life like this. Only timing. Only consequences. Only the slow realization that, eventually, one version of you survives, and the others disappear.